If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland, and I am not going to let that happen. Greenland should make the deal because Greenland does not want to see Russia or China take over. They don't go there. It's very far away from Greenland. And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that? You know what their defense is? 2 dog sleds. In the meantime, you have Russian destroyers and submarines and China destroyers and submarines all over the place. We're not going to let that happen.
In the meantime, are you going
and if it affects NATO, then it affects NATO. But, you know, they need us much more than we need them. I will tell you that right now.
Acquire Greenland. Who would win? Breaking news. Greenland has chosen war with the United States and has chosen NATO as their defender. Trump sent a warning to NATO yesterday, saying that if America invades Greenland, NATO needs to stand back and that any NATO troops on the island would result into a war with America. And today, the Greenland Prime Minister has asked that for formal protection and rejected all ties with the United States, meaning there will be no negotiations, and Trump has made it clear, quote, "We will have Greenland and will not rule out military force. The situation now is if the United States puts a soldier on Greenland, NATO Article 5 will be activated at the request of Denmark, who is the owner of Greenland, and NATO, more specifically. France has already chosen their side, stating that they will come to support the Danes, and even plans are being drafted behind closed doors for a NATO defense of Greenland against the United States, with French nuclear submarines leading the way. It's already reported that Trump is more than ready to sacrifice NATO in order to acquire Greenland. Who would win, comic below NATO or the United States? Breaking news.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Kakodash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of great news to not do well, and salutation to the Akram around the world, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Right, and as we can see, the hammer at it again, doing what it does best, right? Doing what it does best, and that is what is going in these heathens' mind. They could do as they please just because, why? There's one of the worst superpowers. There's the one who is blessed with the sword, so they're using it to the best of their ability. Because right now, Babylon's seeing that the so-called golden age is expiring, right? They're seeing that the time is coming, that these other nations, right, these other countries is rising up and being more advanced than them. So it's basically, as we said in the last works gone, right, they're trying to crawl away out of the grave, right? They're being buried, they're being left in the dust, and they're trying to crawl out and crawl away back up, right? They want to come here now and take Greenland for what? The resources. Same thing happened in Venezuela. Same thing happened in Venezuela because they realized what happened to the oil to the oil deal back in Saudi. So what with them now? They need that oil. They need it. They want it so bad. They don't want to be left behind. They don't want to, right? They don't want to lose any war because of the pride. The scripture speak about pride can't go pride go before destruction. I don't Let's roughly paraphrase the precept. I'll have next video here to play.
On the other side, we have the United States operating under an America First doctrine. The comment by Stephen Miller is chilling. When he says no country will fight a war for Greenland, he is stating a brutal fact of realpolitik. He is gambling that if push comes to shove, France, Germany, and the UK will not risk their relationship with America just to save Denmark's territory. This is a classic bully tactic. It is a calculation that might makes right, but why now? Why?
Right, and as you guys see, this is a classic bully tactic, right? This is basically Hamadi again, right? This is how they rule. This is how they go forth. As the scripture speak about the covenant breaker, right? Going forth and breaking the treaties, because you know, right? We know that America is part of NATO, and Denmark is also part of NATO. Greenland basically being part of NATO because that is Denmark sovereignty. That they we say and it was really ironic. It was really funny. What Trump said that just because you came on a boat 500 years ago and dwell on a land, nobody was on the land. Think about it, nobody on the land, and you came and you take this land your own, you make this land your own. It doesn't mean that is yours. That is real heights. Because what happened to them? They came on the land and already had people on the land. And they took the land and look, it's theirs now. Why he not studying that?
It's the pressure ramping up so suddenly. The timing is suspicious. The US knows that the geopolitical window is closing, with Russia becoming more aggressive in the Arctic and China building icebreaker ships. Washington feels it is losing control of the North. They view Denmark as a weak landlord who is letting the property go to waste, but this arrogance has backfired. Instead of quietly handing
Right? And what do want Denmark for? I'm Denmark, so like, what do want Greenland for? The same, what the guy said here, Denmark not using the resources because I did some research and it have a lot of untapped resources in Greenland right now. Right? Going back to the neodymium, the praseodymium, right? The dysprosium or something so. Yeah, these things Babylon need for the warfare. They need these, they want it so bad. He basically coming out blatant and telling them nobody can do nothing about me taking the Greenland. That we basically saying here.
over the Keys, Denmark has drawn a line in the snow, and now the entire NATO alliance is holding its breath. 05, 008 o'clock, Chapter 2, The Treasure Under the Ice, Why Greenland Matters. Direction. Avatar looks more analytical. Imagine the avatar is explaining a complex secret. Now you might be sitting there thinking, it's just ice. Why does anyone care? If you think Greenland is just ice, you are missing the bigger picture. Greenland is actually a fortress of the future. Let us peel back the layers. First, let's talk about technology and the trade war. We are living in an era where data is the new oil and microchips are the new gold. To build iPhones, fighter jets, electric car, batteries, and advanced missiles, you need something called rare earth elements. Right now, China controls roughly 90% of the processing of these minerals. If China
Right, and just to confirm what the guy is saying here concerning the REEs, right, the rare earth minerals, right? This is Gemini, and here what she says here.
As of 2026, the list of countries with the most rare earth elements, REE, remains highly concentrated, with a few nations holding the vast majority of the world's reserves. Top countries by rare earth reserves, 2026. The total global reserves are estimated at approximately 91-92 million metric tons. Rank. Country. Reserves, metric tons. Global share. Key elements found. 1. China, 44 million, approximately 48%. Neodymium, terbium, dysprosium. 2. Brazil, 21 million, approximately 23%. Lanthanum, cerium, 3. India, 6,900,000, approximately 7.5%. Monazite, found in beach sands. 4. Australia, 5,700,000, approximately 6.2%. Praseodymium, neodymium. 5. Russia, 3,800,000, approximately 4.1%. Yttrium gadolinium. 6. Vietnam, 3,500,000, approximately 3.8%. Mixed rare earth oxides. 7. United States, 1,900,000, approximately 2.1%. Bastnasite. 8. Greenland, 1,500,000, approximately 1.6%. Heavy rare earths. Crucial distinction, reserves versus processing. While the countries above have the most in the ground, the supply chain is currently dominated by China, which controls nearly 90% of global processing and refining capacity.
Right? So we heard it here. And that is what Babylon, America, aka USA, right? That is what they want to change. They want to change China from being the world leading processing these rare earth minerals, right? They don't want to have to depend on China, because what they're doing to China right now, the sanctioning. It's like, I made a mistake. They put in tariffs on top of tariffs on this country, and it's obviously when they see these things happen, and they ain't gonna like it. So they're gonna make it even harder for Babylon now, because they can get tariffs also, because it's basically like a tariff war. And what the video that was circling there, they were China and was saying that any war Babylon wants, any type of war, they're gonna lose it, because we know a lot of things that America is heavily dependent on China for, right? So they're trying to break out of that hole where they ain't gonna need them anymore, right? But that is the fucked up thing. They want to go into another country, not to say the guys that make any deal with them, or they want to take it as their own. They want to own Greenland. That is wickedness. And we see Greenland security, the defense is two dog sleds. And let's show how these heathens is. How them just think. They just basically wicked. They don't care. What the precept in Habakkuk speaks about. Right? Habakkuk chapter 2. Right? And verse 5. And it says, Yea also, because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man. And that is how these heathens is. They're proud. They will come forth and tell you their agenda openly. And then they go and establish it. Right? And that is why these heathens, them hating. These are the nations, and them, they don't like Babylon for the wickedness that they've been going through all these years. Right? It says neither, yeah, you see, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desires as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. Right? They always want. Right? It don't matter how big America is, they want to enlarge America over and over and over. Because look at how many countries they bow this country, bow that country, buy the Panama Canal, right? All these things they just want. If they can't get it, they come on a war for it. Right? They come on to fight and kill this one and kill that one and take it. Right? It says, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Verse 6, it says, Shall not all these take up a parable against him? And that is a serious prophecy that is in the brew right now. Right? These nations is going to come against him. Right? Right? Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that layeth himself with thick clay. Right? So he want to take from people, right, from these nations, and we expect these nations fed up by your nonsense, these nations fed up by your tyranny, these nations fed up by your wickedness, right? And we know, as the scriptures say, right, the weak right now saying the strong right now, everybody, all the I'm gonna say everybody select, but all the minor nations and them who never used to say shit, right now they're saying shit. Right now they're having nuclear capabilities. Right now they're having missiles, they're having fighter jets, they're having all these things now, right? Because why? As the scripture is saying, Joel beat the plowshares into swords, and they're turning it into spears, right? So these nations is arming up, and the time is going to come with Babylon is going to be thrown down. Time is going to come when they can get to that point. It's like someone who continue taking from the bully, because as the man just said, it is a bully. Continue taking, and when the time comes, they can't take anymore. Time is going to come when they can't take anymore. I'm gonna finish all the video here.
Decided to cut off the supply tomorrow, the American military and build iPhones, fighter jets, electric car, batteries, and advanced missiles. You need something called rare earth elements. Right now, China controls roughly 90% of the processing of these minerals. If China decided to cut off the supply tomorrow, the American military and economy would grind to a halt. But guess who has one of the largest untapped deposits of rare earth minerals on the planet? Greenland. Deep beneath that melting ice are massive reserves of neodymium, praseodymium, and dysprosium. For the United States, buying Greenland isn't about land. It's about breaking China's chokehold on the future of technology.
Right? And that is what they want to do. They want to break that chokehold. They want to no longer have to depend on China for the processing of these REEs. Right? But how they're going forth with it, that is basically wickedness. How they're doing it, how they want to achieve that, is basically bullying a smaller nation and letting them know, hey, we coming to take this, and doing it outright also. Right? This is book of Micah chapter 2 and verse 1. Here's what it says. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. And that is Babylon here right now. Right? They have the power to take over Greenland because they have the military might, they have the submarines, right? The warships, the fighter jets, right? All these things they have, right? They already planned it out. In the Senate, whatever they call it there, right? They plan it out here now, and they want to know how to establish it. Simple as how they came and take the president of Venezuela, right? President Maduro. Watch what happened. So when they plan it, they come and they execute the plan. Think about it. And although some people might say, hey, Venezuela, some of these Venezuelans and them, Venezuelans and them celebrating and praising Trump and calling them aka Cesare Borgia, right? They don't know what Babylon have in store for them. They don't know that Babylon ain't come to help them. These heathens ain't come to help you, or they come to help themselves, to your oil, to your resources. So verse 2, it says they covered fields and take them by violence. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. That's exactly what they're doing right now. And they're not coveting your natural resources, right? Watch what happened to the oil tankers that was going towards Russia. They basically seized it, and that have nothing to do with them. Because think about it, if I buy something from somebody, that nothing to do with here again, that is mine. I paid for it, right? So it's basically they stealing Russia's oil, right? It says they covered fields and take them by violence, a house and take them away. So they oppressed a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And right, that will happen to us also. Right? First and foremost with us. He did it many times, but going down to our people, look what they did unto us also. Have us in this land that we ancestors never came from. Right? This is not our home, and this is not the land that the Lord gave us. the Lord brought us when he take us out from the land of Egypt. He didn't bring us here. He never bring us here no slave ship. It's these wicked heathens, right? But concerning what's happening here right now in Greenland, this is basically going to spark up these heathens and them to hate him more. These other nations and them to hate Babylon more. This is what's going to happen, right? This is what's happening right now, right? Because as I was saying earlier on, all these nations are part of NATO. All these nations are in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right? America, especially because that is the one who want to call them the powerhouse, they want to call them the muscles of NATO. But right now they're coming and they're taking the power and they're abusing it. Right? They're abusing these other nations and them. It's like basically everybody has to listen to you all because why? You all have the most military might. That is wickedness. As the scripture says in Psalms, right? Psalm 55 and verse 20. And it says he put forth his hands against such as be, right? He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant, right? Because Denmark them didn't want nothing to do with the US, like in no war with the US. Then Denmark they didn't want to come against the US, no, because look, they already had military bases on Greenland. But what will go on here now is they basically making their own enemies by true wickedness, right? True having to always want to take other people's stuff. That is always go with a bully. A bully have a lot of enemies because why? They only want to take. But when the time is going to come, when the time come, it is happening, it is close, it is near, right? I want to see what they're going to do when they're being taken, when things are going to be taken from them, when they're being blown with thermonuclear fire. Thus says Yahweh Shem Shai, thus says the Bible, thus says the Lord, right? It says, verse 21, his words, the words of his mouth was smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, right? Look what happened when they now come forth with this, with NATO, when they're now bringing forth this into play. You feel they studying, they were studying these other nations and them. They don't really give a they don't really give a hoot about these other nations and them. They don't care. They don't care about these other nations and them. Right? They know at that point in time, these wicked heathens, they will break a covenant if not even if their life depends on it, they will break that covenant just to look good, just to be the most powerful, right? Just to be on top, just to continue being that great Babylon, that great superpower, right? Because think about it, a person who talks about himself highly, a person who talks about himself and always praising himself, you feel he gonna come down from that pedestal, and these other nations also seeing that, hey, Babylon gonna have to depend on me. They ain't gonna want that. They ain't gonna want to be dependent on other countries, knowing that these other countries surpassing them in many different ways, and we've seen it. Everybody's seen it all over the social media. Everyone has seen it all over the social media. Babylon is being is being outshadowed by these other nations, and the hydrogen bomb, right? The Satan 1, the Satan 2, all the troops. When the simple as a video on YouTube, when they watching how America troops and them and the soldiers and them nothing sync, they have no coordination, they have no discipline concerning, and also comparing to these other nations and them. compared to how these other nations them go forth in the military. You feel all these things are not going to the brain and saying, hey, you can't let China surpass me in this, you can't let Russia surpass me in that, right? So the pride is what's gonna be at work here now, and that's what they're gonna say, nah, matter of fact, let me go and take over Greenland, and now we go look to build we golden dome. Let's imagine that. That is how these wicked heathens will be thinking. They don't want to be surpassed in anything, but that is exactly what's happening right now. But it is inevitable. It is inevitable, right? Babylon will be surpassed. Babylon will be destroyed, as the scriptures say. Because basically, the time is up. The rulership is at is like the cliffhanger. Yeah, they're hanging from a cliff right now. And time is gonna come where they can't hold on no more. They will drop and they will fall and they will be destroyed. Right? They can't hold on forever. Because cliffhanger is just a cartoon. Being real, you hold on from a cliff so long, and that time is gonna come when they're gonna drop and they're gonna fall. Right? Jeremiah 51 verse 7. And it says, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nation have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right? These nations are fed up by a stupid democracy. These nations are fed up by a stupid tyranny. Right? These nations are fed up by Babylon right now. They fed up by you having to have all they say, and they have to abide by your laws, abide by your rules. Your westernized mindset. Right? These nations are fed up by these things. Because it's like a wicked ruler. It's like that. A wicked ruler, when the people see the ruler ruling too wickedly, we feel gonna happen. All of a sudden there's a coup d'etat. All of a sudden is uproars among the people because why? Unrighteous rulership. Right? And the scripture speak about it also in Wisdom of Solomon. Right? These kings that really they're not ruling it alright. Right? It's only wickedness. And these heathens is gonna come, right? These heathens, other heathens and nations gonna come and they will destroy you. They will come against you because of that wicked rulership. Right? The time is gonna come. Okay, right now your sword dull right now. That sword that the Lord blessed you with, it rusty and it dull. So you ain't be able to chop down these other nations when they come. Because these other nations are sharpening the sword. The beak white right now for Esau's blood. Right? Right now, Esau's blood, these heathens and them ready and waiting for this to spill that blood and drink that blood. How these nations them going through their brain, they can't wait to take you down. So a lot of these other heathens, they believe in the prophecies, they know in the prophecies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. They know in the prophecies of the Bible because they also seen it coming to pass. I can't remember which nation, I can't remember which if it was Putin, if it was Kingdom Moon, one of these presidents, they say it's written in the Bible that you're gonna fall by. Babylon is going to fall by. A lot of these nations believe in the prophecies. Right? Verse 8 it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Hold for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. But Babylon is not going to be healed. Babylon is at the verge of destruction. Babylon is at its end. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, he's the one going to rise up these nations against him. He's the ones who put in all the pieces on the chessboard, right, and putting it to play. He's that one, Alpha and the Omega, right? What it says here in Obadiah 1, right? Because basically them, as how the old saying go, you make a bed so you lie in it, right? They make their bed by dealing unrighteously with these other nations, right? So these other nations and we're gonna come against you all, right? which scripture talk about true and righteous dealings and riches gotten by deceit. How you feel they get? How you feel they get everything they have right now? Through wickedness, through lies, through treaty breaking. That is how they get all these things that they have right now. Right? It says here in Obadiah 1 and verse 7, and it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. Right? You feel, if I find this man, somebody only tricking me, lying to me, April Fools is some kind of trick. I ain't gonna feel to pull a trick on him one of these days. I ain't gonna feel like, nah, boy, I feel up for this man only catching me in it. I gonna catch that. I gonna catch him. I'll catch him. What chance here? I'll catch him. One of these days I'll catch him, man. That is what's going on right now to these other nations, and they're waiting to catch you with your pants down. It says the men that were at peace with thee had deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right? That is what's going to happen to Esau, Edom. Right? That is what's going to happen to Babylon, aka America. Right? The Lord is going to make these other nations come against you. And it's basically, when I check it out, you make that happen to yourself because of your wickedness. It says verse 8, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Right? That is exactly what's going to happen, because we see in Jeremiah 49, right? Jeremiah 49 and 11, I believe, somewhere there. Right? Is there no more wisdom in Timan? Right? Basically, they can see these other nations and going and getting right. They're going and establishing things that Esau have not established as yet. What will the man say for himself? China is the only country with a hydrogen bomb. Maybe it might not be so now, I can't say. But the first things that China leading in technology, right, in the making of all these things, are things that Babylon, like simple as making it simple as your phone screens and these things, Babylon dependent on in America right now. In China slack, yeah, in China right now. Right? Continuing here, verse 9, it says, and the mighty men, O Timan, shall be dismayed to the end of every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, by thermal nuclear fire. That is what they're gonna be cut off. Because why? You want to deal a certain way with all these nations treacherously? You're right. They're gonna deal treacherously with you now. And let's wait till the time come. Wait till the kingdom come. You can see who gonna deal even more treacherously with these wicked heathens before they get eradicated. Right? Jeremiah 50. Right? Jeremiah 50 and verse 9, and it says, for lo, I will arise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From hence she shall be taken. The arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. So every single arrows that the scripture say, all the arrows on them, gonna fly straight towards the mark, from one end of the earth to the next end of the earth. There's roughly paraphrasing different scriptures here, right? From one end of the earth to the next end of the earth, right? They're gonna fly towards Babylon and destroy America, aka USA. Sorry to say, everybody else gonna ball hooray. Yeah. This revolution, yeah, Revolution 17. Revelation 17, 16. And it says the 10, you see, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right? These are the nations and them who you neglect. These are the nations and them who you wanted to do as you please in the sight of them and do as you please to them. Right? They can burn you with thermonuclear fire. Missiles upon missiles upon missiles gonna be dropped upon America, aka Babylon. And at the end of the gonna say, um, gosh, is I think it's Isaiah 14. I'll close with this precept. Isaiah 14. Right, 16. Yeah. See, these are what I want to see. This is itself. Nice. Isaiah 14, 16, and it says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? This is the same country that dropped Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the people had deformities through ages and through generations, and the land they couldn't even grow flowers. This is the same country. This is the same. Is this the same kingdom? Queendom, I should say. Right? They're gonna be like, wow. Um, yeah, close to this one, Jeremiah 50. Right? Jeremiah 50 and verse 20. Yeah, verse 23, and it says, how is the hammer of the earth? How is the hammer of the whole earth, I should say, cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Right? How is this? How? The Lord, as the scripture said, the Lord had made a trap for Babylon, and she even gonna know, they ain't even gonna know when to take on. Right? The Lord is the one. As a matter of fact, hey, that is the same scripture yourself. As I just roughly paraphrasing it, but I said to yourself, it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon. Thou was not aware, thou art found, and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and his people. They come against the Lord. You come against the Lord, people. Basically, they come against the Lord. So the Lord we see here verse 25, we see the Lord had opened his armory and had brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of Yahweh power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. These wicked heathens and them is going to be destroyed. Thus says Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. With that, this one to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rekakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone and do well, and salutation to the brothers around the Atazah, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. And to the next one, Akyam, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.